What's going on, everybody? This is Travis Witherspoon. This is another episode of Trade with Travis, August 4th, Thursday edition. Big movement that ended up happening based off DAX. End up getting out of the trade. Hopefully, you end up doing it. If you're in that trade, based off of what we end up talking about in our session, what I'm going to end up doing is talk about where you can be able to add back on if this trade starts to turn back around. But got a good bit of the original movement and is looking to be able to get back in when it comes down to that trade. Let me go ahead and go through the disclaimer, and then after that, we'll go ahead and take a look at the pairs. I'm not a CTA, so I'm not going to tell you whether to buy or to sell. What I'm going to do is teach you education, and from the education, you can be able to make your own informed decision. I understand that forex trading involves risk. It involves risk of being able to make money. Also involves risk of being able to lose money. So please keep that in mind. And understand that past performance is not indicative of future results, which means that if you end up making money yesterday, it's not promised that you end up making money today. I'm sending my invites out to my Facebook folks and sending my invites out to my Twitter folks and everybody else. Just give me one quick second, but I'm glad to talk to everybody as we go through and take a look at this when it comes down to today's overall day. I want to go ahead and jump right into DAX, get that out the way. And I'm going to tie in what's actually happening with, I'm going to tie in what ended up actually happening with the FX calendar, because we talked about today was going to end up being a big day for us, the overall news that ended up happening today, especially when it came down to German pairs. So earlier today, what ended up happening was that the market ended up having an interest rate decision. Interest rate decision remained actually ended up jumping up 50 basis points. Now, if you look at it, the market has jumped up 50 basis points on the United States. It jumped up 50 basis points earlier this week on the Eurozone. I think it ended up doing it as well on the Australian dollar. So it wasn't a surprise. That's why I think that the market ended up pushing up to the upside. Currently, right now, if you take a look at the trade that we end up placing in and where we're at, and currently, obviously, this is live, so we're going through all of that information. Um, where did I place in that information for the trade? The trade that we ended up taking was an entry at 13,550 with a stop loss of 13,450, with a take profit of 13,840 and 13,940. Currently, right now, we are in that push area for its overall movement. I want to keep on buying on this trade. I want to make sure that I end up saying that we are in this pocket finally where this market could really make this big up roar of a move. Now, the thing is, when I looked at it based off of the 15-minute, it broke the counter trend line break, it faked, and then after that, it started to go into the downside when I seen this market basically make this movement as well. So currently right now, we are in the continuation portion of trading on this phase, meaning that I want the market to be able to break the counter trend line break and be able to give me a very good move to the upside to be able to prove that the trend is ready to be able to go again. We end up getting in from this bottom area right here. Was able to ride it all the way up. I end up getting out somewhere around here based off of that counter trend line break. We're starting to see that it's starting to happen again. Hopefully, if this thing can be able to break and then be able to push, then we have a good chance of being able to get it. Now, if it falls all the way down to point of control, it could fall all the way down to 695. If it falls all the way down to 695, then that's a very good entry that I say to be able to get in, to be able to get great value, especially if you was able to exit out a little bit earlier from the original trade. So I end up taking I end up taking profit. I'm out of the positions right now. Currently, right now, I'm up about $2,000 based off this move this morning. Um, all I'm doing is just waiting for a counter trend line break with a close to the upside. We got an opportunity to be able to get into that trading pair. So uh, German 40, we are in that pocket. We're starting to make that move. Let me get rid of this because we're now inside of that pocket. Uh, this is a part of all being patient. We end up making this trade on Sunday. We talked about this was the trade that we wanted to be able to get into. We finally end up getting that move. Now we just need to ride out and play everything through this overall move like we would any move when it comes down to that. Let's take a look at what's happening with Nas. Nas, same deal. We talked about the two trades that we wanted to be able to get in based off of this. We end up getting into this trade at 13,140. Currently, right now, I am out of all of my pairs on this one as well. End up making a move, end up popping up. It actually ended up getting into this second entry. We ended up getting into the second entry that we talked about at 13,330, and then after that, it rejected right at when it got placed in, which is never good. But just like with anything else, sometimes that's why you got to have alerts to be able to let you know when trades are getting placed in or anything else like that. So currently, right now, what I'm waiting for before 9:30 is to be able to see that this bar ends up crossing up, and wait for the bar to be able to close. We end up saying that we're looking at being able to get in based off of Nas counter trend line break. So Nas counter trend line break by. Now, all of these are continuation trade. Now, what continuation trades? What I mean by continuation trades, that means that we've already done gotten into the move. We've already done made profit. Now we're looking at being able to get into this move and kind of being able to ride it out once there's a true counter trend line break. Once that true counter trend line break happens, then after that we have an opportunity to be able to do everything else like that from the move. Um, let's go ahead and go into US 30. US 30 currently right now is inside of this box, still inside of this consolidation. It ended up tapping and trying to get out, but this is a classic double top that ended up happening right here. Market ended up pushing up, got all the way up to the resistance, rejected, fell back into a median area, tried to push up again, rejected again, and currently right now it's falling. If it breaks below this point of control, then that means that there's really no trade today to be able to happen. That means that the market will probably end up falling at least down to the midway point or even back all the way down to support before trying to be able to break out. That was the current reason why I ended up saying that I didn't like US 30 as a trade this week because one, we made our money last week based off of this movement, based off of its breakout. But two, you look at it, what's blocking this off is this large consolidation sale right there. So even if it does break out, it's going to run right into a consolidation area, and because it runs right into a consolidation area, there's really no great trade for this one to be able to take. So we probably won't get into this trade if not until tomorrow. If not until tomorrow, possibly even next week if this market does break out to the upside. To the downside, we've already done took that trade. We already tried that out. Made a little bit off the first one. Remember, talked about getting faked out. I believe that was on Tuesday when that happened. But currently, right now, this is the building of this consolidation block. Uh, if you want to place in an order, I would say place in an order at 32,940 with trying to get out at 33,075 as a scalp to the upside. That will basically try to get you all the way up to basically this halfway point. But there's this large consolidation area led to that large movement to the downside. So it's not under the realm of possibility of why the market is kind of slowing down in this area. Plus, the market's it's been slow this week. It hasn't necessarily given a lot of big moves. It's just been that the market has been somewhat slow for what's being able to move overall. So that is the pairs from there. We are up when it comes down to that. I want to talk about my $100 challenge and where we are when it comes down to that. The $100 challenge, I'm actually down on this one when it comes down to the pairs. I'm going to be honest. If this was an FTMO challenge, I probably would be down. I probably would have got kicked out just based off of the percentage that I'm at right now. Um, I had no problem being able to show that. Let's see. Let's see. My portfolio is saying that I'm down 47%. I ended up getting all the way up to, I think I ended up getting all the way up to 120. So it ended up pushing down. It's my first time really using mini accounts, trying to get used to that. Obviously, trying to change up the lot size and trying to fit everything to be able to work off of that does not make any sense. So started off with, I think I started off with $100. Currently, right now I'm at 97. I pushed it up all the way up to a 213. And then after that, I started playing around with the lot sizes, trying to figure out what was going on with that, and took a couple losses. But just like with anything else, you end up building it up, and it'll come. So currently, right now, that's what I'm waiting on. I'm looking for some of those moves when it comes down to that. Other than that, it seems like obviously the beginning of the morning may end up being slow for everyone that's looking at being able to chat and everything else like that. And if there's no pairs to be able to talk about, then what I end up doing is I'll stop this video and we'll probably end up talking a little bit later on today. Um, let's see. From an economic calendar standpoint, there's really not that much to be able to pay attention to at this particular point in time. And I will say this: I don't particularly like Thursdays before non-farm payroll. Let me explain why. And I think this little rant will probably end up being what will end off a little bit, unless for the people that are locking in, if you have a certain pair that you would like to be able to take a look at. Kind of going through. Let me review what we end up talking about real quick before I start jumping into what I was going to say. German 40, for the people that end up getting into our trade on at German 40, on that trade, you should be in profit right now. I would say go ahead and lock in your profit. Go ahead and take that, and look for a new entry once we end up getting a counter trend line break. I don't know if that's going to end up happening at this particular point in time because the market is close to being in the sell zone, but we've already done made over 150 points at least. Uh, yeah, 150 points at least on this overall pair. So everyone should be happy when it comes down to that movement. Um, the entry was at 13,555, stop loss at 450, take profit is at 840. We're pushing up inside of this overall zone before we get inside of that consolidation. So uh, that's what we're in right now. Just waiting for a counter trend line break to be able to get in, to get back in based off of that movement. We talked about what's happening with Nas. Nas broke into the first gap, started to move, got into the second gap, started to reject. So same deal, waiting on a counter trend line break. Probably won't see anything happen until about 9:30 off of that one. US 30, there's no trade to be able to take. It's inside of the consolidation. Not doing anything until it breaks out of the consolidation. If you know, you know. When it comes down to that movement. So my biggest rant when it comes down to what why I do not like Thursdays before non farm payroll. Keep this in mind when you're looking at certain trades uh, in general. What ends up happening is um, if you're in a move on Thursday, the move will probably end up having a big move or a big spark. Like sometimes the biggest moves, typically, especially in October, from October to January, actually from October to March, um, the market will end up making this large big pop, and then right around 11 o'clock, the market starts slowing down, and then it bogs so much that it's like it shouldn't have even been in that trade in the first place. So it's one of those things to where it's like, yeah, it's a good trade, but I'm not necessarily interested in being able to make a move off of it because everyone is waiting for a non-farm payroll, which is going to end up being that next day. Typically, from there, what ends up happening is that um, the market will end up slowing down, and then after 8:30 hits, or right before 8:30 hits, the market will either make a move to fake people out, and then after that, it will actually start to be able to truly go after that 15 minutes of windows when it comes down to that. So Thursday trading before non-farm payroll day is somewhat, to me, is somewhat useless unless you're looking at being able to scalp. You can make a scalping move off of it, then it's a pretty good trade. But other than that, there's really no big play that I would say that I would be interested in at this particular time when it comes down to those movements. So today is probably going to end up being a slow day. I think it kind of reflects what I'm seeing with people that are looking online, at least right now. But half of that is because half of the time is because I typically start talking at 8:30. But other than that, forex pairs, we talked about what's happening with the dollar and everything else like that. I don't think that I'm interested in being able to make a trade off of that. I said that at the beginning of the week. Uh, and everything else, we're just going to kind of wait up for and see what happens. So I'm going to stop this video like this. I may end up popping in a little bit before 9:30. I may end up doing it again. But like always, plan your trade. Yeah, plan your trade, trade your plan. Everyone, y'all have a good one.